Over 20 years after the first Gladiator movie came out, Gladiator II is set to take place many years after Russell Crowe's character, Maximus, died in the Colosseum. Lucius, played by Mescal, was in the first Gladiator as a child. Now, in Gladiator II, he is all grown up, showing that a lot of time has passed between the two movies. As the November release date for Gladiator II gets closer, more details about the film are being shared, helping us understand how it connects to the first movie. A new trailer for Gladiator II has given more information about the upcoming movie and how it fits with the original Gladiator's timeline. The trailer showed the main cast and set up the story well, with some big surprises for the sequel. One of the reveals was Lucius' close connection to Maximus, the main character from the first Gladiator. While we don't know exactly how they are connected yet, there are hints about how much time has passed since Maximus' death. Gladiator II is probably set in 211 AD. The trailer for Gladiator II shows the Roman emperors who came to power after Commodus died at the end of Gladiator. In real life, after Commodus was killed, there was a crazy time in Rome called the Year of Five Emperors, where 5 different people tried to be emperor. Even though Gladiator isn't super accurate about history, the sequel seems to follow the real timeline of ancient Rome. After the Year of Five Emperors, Septimus Severus became emperor, and he later gave the throne to his sons, Caracalla and Geta. They ruled together from 209 to 211 AD, but then Caracalla killed Geta. Since Caracalla and Geta are the emperors in Gladiator II, it looks like the movie is set in 211 AD, the year Geta was killed. In Gladiator II, Lucius wants revenge against Rome, and he might take on the same role as Maximus did in the first movie. This means Lucius might end up killing one or both of the emperors. If that happens, Gladiator II would take place in 211, which matches when Geta died in real life. This would help the sequel fit into the original Gladiator's timeline, based on Commodus' death. How long after Gladiator is Gladiator II set? Based on the real timeline of Roman emperors, it seems Gladiator II takes place several years after the original. Emperor Commodus, played by Joaquin Phoenix in the original movie, ruled from 177 to 192 AD when he was assassinated. Since Commodus died in 192 and Gladiator II will likely take place towards the end of 211, there are almost 20 years between Gladiator and its sequel. That's more than enough time for Lucius to have grown up between movies, and it also helps explain the massive amount of developments between Gladiator and Gladiator II. What happened between Gladiator and Gladiator II? It makes sense for Gladiator II to take place 20 years after the original movie because a lot happened during that time. Mescal's character, Lucius, went through a lot between the movies. Lucius was sent away from Rome by his mom, Lucilla, and grew up in northern Africa, in a place called Numidia. He started a family and became a warrior before Pedro Pascal's character, General Acacius, captured and enslaved him. Denzel Washington's character, Macrinus, also rose to power during that time. So 20 years seems like a realistic timeline for all these events. A lot happened in Rome while Lucius was away, too. Gladiator II focuses on the reign of Caracalla and Geta, which means there was a lot of political instability and power changes between the first movie and the sequel. Rome also seemed to decline a lot, as the trailer showed Caracalla and Geta weren't pretending to be good rulers like Commodus did. Corruption spread throughout the Roman Empire while Lucius was gone, and 20 years would be enough time for all these changes to happen. Why Gladiator II might use a different timeline. Though Gladiator II is likely set in 211 AD, there's no guarantee that it will actually follow the historical timeline. Ridley Scott, who directed both Gladiator movies, took a few creative liberties with the historical timeline of ancient Rome to tell a more compelling story in the original film, and he could easily do it again for Gladiator II. In real life, Commodus ruled for about 15 years, from 177 to 192 AD, but Gladiator condensed his reign into about a year. That shifted timeline helped Gladiator make Commodus a more compelling villain, and Scott might use the same trick for Gladiator II. There are a couple of clues already that Gladiator II could have a more realistic timeline than the original, however. The trailer for Gladiator II indicated that it would pick up in the midst of Caracalla and Geta's reign, rather than showing it from start to finish like Gladiator did with Commodus. Pedro Pascal's Acacius mentioned that he didn't want to send more soldiers to their deaths under the Emperor's orders, and he seems to have a dark history of serving under their rule. If that's the case, Gladiator II's story could match up with the historical timeline of Caracalla and Geta's rule. Even if Gladiator II does play around with the historical timeline, though, it will likely work quite well. Scott didn't let historical accuracy get in the way of the original Gladiator, and it paid off. Because it changed the timeline of Commodus' rule, Gladiator was able to show his full transformation into a tyrant, rather than worrying about fitting with history. Those creative liberties helped make Commodus a truly diabolical villain, and Scott could do the same for the sequel. Whatever Ridley Scott decides to change about Gladiator II's timeline will almost surely be for the best. Even though Gladiator II is probably set in 211 AD, it might not follow the real historical timeline exactly.
Don't forget to like and subscribe!